I'm Jake.
And I'm Marlon. Hello.
AKA Gee. And today we're going to be reacting to a crossover review between one review we've reacted to before and one we haven't. The review we've reacted to before is Diamanda Hagen. Last year we watched her 2010 or 12, I believe, review of Left Behind, the Kirk Cameron movie. That was a fun reaction to do. She even retweeted it. And today we're going to be reacting to Film Brain, her crossover with him from 2018 for the Steven Seagal movie Code of Honor. And before we start, Film Brain, are you familiar with him?
Yes, we've seen Film Brain before.
Yeah, he's a fun little British reviewer, and with them being over in Europe, this is probably one of the few times they're able to do an in-person crossover with somebody.
Yeah.
He has two shows, Bad Movie Beatdown, which he hasn't done in a while. That was his original show.
Right.
And his more current show that he does is Projector, where he reviews movies currently in theaters, fresh releases.
All right.
And he's an entertaining guy. I'll get into him more later, but this is their review of Code of Honor, the first part of a two-part crossover collaboration they did. And Film Brain has really reviewed a lot of Steven Seagal movies. Like, he's not a fan, but he's like a fan of reviewing his worst stuff. Yeah. And this is one of Seagal's direct-to-video ones, so you know it's going to be really bad. And without further ado, let's watch and see what they have to say, see how they work off of each other.
This one doesn't seem to have my address on it. Well, that's convenient if that ever ends up in a video. To Brian, meet me at the Travel Lodge, room 237.
Shining reference.
Brian Craig Sheffer with you. I don't see anything suspicious about this.
Hello, Film Brain. Are you the Keymaster?
Diamanda Hagen, I somehow didn't manage to work this out despite the obvious clues.
I'm glad my minion mailman delivered and you were as stupid and gullible as I thought. Perhaps more so. I brought my Craig Sheffer film to the party. I hope you brought yours.
Well, I brought Code of Honor, which stars Steven Seagal and Craig Sheffer.
Steven Seagal? You're learning!
That note at the beginning where it says Brian, that's like been a running joke in their previous videos.
Okay.
She calls him Brian to deliberately piss him off.
So instead of Brain, he's Brian.
Yeah. Most of the Bad Movie Beatdown are semi-current stuff, like from the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
He occasionally does older movies.
Hello and welcome to Bad Movie Beatdown.
I'm Diamanda Hagen. This is Brian Flim. It is his name, it has always been his name, and it will always be his name.
I keep telling you it's Matthew.
Save it for when I give a fuck, Brian. You're just lucky that I don't hang you from the ceiling by your testicles for involving me in your bizarre Steven Seagal fixation. He's never gonna sleep with you.
It's been a while since I covered the oeuvre of Steven Seagal, and it's about time too, because it's easily the thing that people most request from me. And between shilling for his best mate, Vladimir Putin, to the point where he's become Russia's official envoy to the US,
Even Afghanistan has better standards than that.
he's still as prolific as ever when it comes to the direct-to-video drag he produces. Today's movie, Code of Honor, is one of 6, that's right, 6 films of the washed-up action star released in 2016 and was released in the same week as Sniper Special Ops.
Edited
Code
by
of Honor
Ryan
is written
Mitchell.
and directed by Michael Winnick, whose self-described First Blood meets Death Wish was apparently going to be made as a, quote, much larger film at one point. Winnick eventually came into contact with Seagal through Robert A. Ferretti, who edited several of Winnick's films but also several of Seagal's films, including Under Siege, On Deadly Ground, Out for a Kill, Today You Die, and Mercenary for Justice. The film was shot very, very quickly in just 20 days.
And boy, does it show.
On a small $8 million budget. I have no idea how successful it is. Like many Seagal films, they just appear with barely anyone noticing or caring aside from his hardcore fans. And I guess there must be enough of them because they keep making them. However, this is a bit different and more interesting than the usual Seagal fare because this time he's playing a morally ambiguous character intentionally.
You set a very low bar for interesting, Brian.
I don't think it's ever a good sign when the executive producer credits, including Seagal's, are the first credits above the cast and title.
We open in the best city we've ever seen, wherever it is.
Salt Lake City, apparently.
They don't deserve these sick refs.
Sat on top of a tower is where we first meet Colonel Robert Sykes, played by Seagal, starting as he means to go on, in a seated position. Seagal has come back to Bad Movie Beatdown and he's bigger than ever.
Literally.
Waistline, aren't you?
Of course. He's positively Brando-esque, and I'm definitely not talking about his acting.
I'm half expecting to see put an ice bucket on his head. Seagal is preparing for killing, as he usually does, puffing away cigars while he waits. And really going through them, too. He's onto a second cigar about a minute later.
Or maybe they've literally shown us the exact same scene of him lighting his cigar twice from different angles because they want to pad out their Seagal footage.
Are you suggesting they're desperate mere minutes into the film? Because you don't need to suggest that. They clearly are.
What Seagal is waiting for is a gang meeting going on below him in front of Salt Lake
666.
City's Fear Factory, given the clearly visible signs, but they're not coming here to visit a haunted house, they're here to deal drugs, all the while reusing endless shots of Seagal tweaking his weapons again.
The gangs look like a hardcore West Side Story. Hopefully Seagal is a soprano. I hear he's a piercing voice. Oh wait, no, that's a sniper rifle. I wonder if Putin is just off screen as a spotter.
As the gang stupidly fire at the tower they can't reach the top of and get themselves killed, Seagal trades his rifle for a machine gun and is amazingly accurate with it, barely even damaging any of the surroundings, and only then to shoot through the cars. He goes back to his rifle to shoot this guy in the wrist before detonating a car bomb that blows up another, getting away with the cash. How did he do that? There is no way he could have planted that underneath it. He was on top of the tower when it arrived.
Maybe Steven Seagal is so good he has a magic button that explodes random cars. Like this. No, I'm not Steven Seagal, and no, I'm not going to sleep with you. Seagal then rides a zip line to the ground,
Well, if you would.
supposedly. Wow, Slipknot from Suicide Squad's really let himself go.
Seagal knifes another member, leaving Hansi the only survivor. The police at the scene, headed by Louis Mandalorian's Detective Peterson, are baffled by the situation until he realises that maybe he should investigate this massive tower that overlooks the scene. And it's there where he finds William Porter, who is an FBI agent, played by our friend Craig Sheffer.
Oh my god, he's disheveled looking. Still, it's weird seeing him not wearing a stupid hat or with a burning hatred for a Highlander actor.
I don't know, maybe he's gone full method to emulate Seagal, wearing stupid shades and looking really bloated. No, that's just how he looks.
You need a small army to take out these two gangs. Tell me, how many hymns?
Just one.
We're just over 10 minutes in and already we're getting the usual Seagal movie speech about how badass he is to massage his ego.
And it's really hard to convince us that he can do the work of several men when he can barely fucking run! Hansi reports back to his gangster boss, Vincent Romano, played by James Russo, or Willem Dafoe if he was left out in the sun for too long, who's determined to track down whoever's responsible.
Get rid of him.
Oh, so they're taking him away to kill him to make an example out of him for screwing up the deal. Nice one, that's what I would have done.
No, actually, they're taking him away for medical attention because he shows up later in the movie with a cast on his arm. Pretty nice for a gangster.
Do these filmmakers not understand how that cliche works?
Cut to a strip club owned by Romano, where Seagal's films seem to end up with alarming regularity. But Seagal's not ogling the dancers the film keeps cutting to for extended gratuitous
I doubt
nudity,
that.
or at least not supposed to be. He's observing a bunch of gangsters the club has a front for, all while being really creepy and suspicious.
So would you tell Seagal that smoke and lighting is not slimming? And given all the shots of legs, I think someone's got a fetish. Tish. Ah, shit, Seagal is astral projecting. His consciousness is floating through the club to show us all his illegal weapons.
It's his Seagal sense powers. It's so he doesn't need to leave his seat to investigate. His POV settles on one of the dancers, Carrie, played by Helen Matheson, who we can tell is a good egg because she's not doing coke like her friend here. She's just a hard-working single mum struggling to get by.
Oh, and the scary guy in the back isn't tipping. What does he look like?
He looks like David Guest.
No, with his current goatee and orange glasses, look, he looks like a fat Bono. Seagal walks out leaving a briefcase bomb, and in
I
the
can see
film's
it.
one impressive practical effect, detonates it and the club explodes behind him, all while putting his hands in his pockets to hide his middle. Holy crap, Seagal managed to do one of his own stunts. He managed to walk without a stunt double.
So, Seagal just blew up a building full of innocent people. He's an angry, whitish guy with violent tendencies. Brian, is Seagal playing the bad guy?
He kind of is, and he isn't. The film actually toys with deconstructing Seagal's image. If you've seen enough, or well, any of Seagal's films, you'll know that while he almost exclusively plays the hero, he's arguably the most sadistic out of any of them. Snapping his enemy's limbs and neck is his signature move. There's a real nasty streak that runs through his films, which makes his characters accidentally quite morally ambiguous, despite also being presented as noble and enlightened figures. That he's playing an intentionally shady figure shows a self-awareness that's uncharacteristic of Seagal.
You give way too much credit to Seagal, the filmmakers, and probably everyone involved in this film. He's killing the bad guys, ergo he's convinced he's the hero. Massive deconstruction. Porter is holed up in some dive motel, drinking his sorrows and or playing with a baseball glove that he stole from Chad Brad from Merlin the Return as he watches the worst local news.
Breaking news. Channel 4 is on the scene at the Snake Eye Strip Club. We are hearing that an apparent bomb or other incendiary device has annihilated this building.
Hello, this is the news, and I'm reading off the
You could
script
do a
in
better
front
news
of me.
broadcast.
The camera never cuts because I'm in front of a green screen. More on this bad film as it develops. And brought to the second big crime scene of the day, the police are real master of deduction.
There's gonna be a lot of dead in there.
Fireboys told me they're pretty sure that it was a bomb. Destroyed everything but the dressing room. That's some serious precision bombing.
No, really? I thought it would be some sort of handgun, nay, a blunderbuss.
And he managed to destroy the club but somehow missed the dressing room? Does he build them with special stripper avoidance systems?
It's the magic button. Never discount the power of a magic button. It makes total sense if you don't think about it. Porter appears at the scene, as does a distraught Carrie, gets snapped by one of Romano's men as he questions her about the scary guy in the back. Look, there he is, the scary guy at the back. Porter chases Seagal, but he just appears like he's a ghost. Specifically Slimer from Ghostbusters.
Colonel Robert Sykes. His service record is impeccable. Skills at hand-to-hand combat, weapons, it's unmatched. He's trained to blend into any city.
Blend in? He can't even dye his hair realistically!
You literally just spotted him in a crowd. How exactly is a large framed man dressed in black easy to miss? Porter explains that Seagal snapped when his
He's a
wife and
stealthy,
child was
fat
killed in a
ninja.
drive-by gang shooting, treating his vigilantism like a military mission, all in the most gushing terms.
I don't think that your department is trained enough to deal with Colonel Sykes. He's been on special ops missions all around the world. Sykes is trained to be a ghost. When this is all over, you might even wonder if
The
he
ghost
ever
likes
existed.
Big
An
Macs.
ex-military man with a dead family and he's gone crazy and kills people. That's the Punisher.
No, actually, because he doesn't wear a shirt with a skull on it. Totally different.
What's the Dolph Lundgren Punisher?
So we're supposed to...
Actually, not a bad movie.
How are you gonna tell us what this guy looks like?
Not that it'll help. I've already changed appearances.
He looks like an overweight 65-year-old with a bad tan. Just send over a photo of any random retiree in Florida.
And he never alters his appearance. That's a tall ask for a guy that barely differs between films. Changing from a black trench coat to camo doesn't count. Porter tells Peterson that he's going to find Carrie as she's a key witness that Seagal or whoever may target, and even though he gave her to the police to question, they apparently didn't bother to even get her full name, let alone place her under protection. No wonder Porter doesn't think they're going to catch Seagal.
So what do you expect me to do? Sit on my ass and wait for you to save the day?
Safest place for your ass.
Fuck you. I'll keep in touch.
Now kiss! Porter goes goes to the strip club, which improbably has no police around it whatsoever, and searches the office. Holy fuck, he found computer things in a computer?
Looks remarkably intact inside too. Apparently the fire only singed the hard drive.
Outside,
They're
Porter
practically
confronts the people
indestructible.
working for Romano, a lost boy and a fan of the Goonies, who discovers that they never say die unless they get stabbed in the gut. As he deals with them with hunting knives, unusual for an FBI agent.
It's bizarre the film has such awful news inserts as it already has an exposition character to serve that. Sleazy reporter Jerry Simon, played by Griff Furst, practically licking his lips at each of the crime scenes, and somehow even gets the scene of the alley stabbings before the cops do.
And the wound on the neck.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of news.
Beautifully gratuitous. Hey, what a subtle parody that if it bleeds, it leads mentality that's totally not inspired by Richard Thornburg in Die Hard. And what the hell TV news report shows graphic crime scene footage?
What is with all the characters wearing randomly colored shades?
Speaking of which, you're probably thinking, isn't Seagal supposed to be in this movie? Well, every so often we get a random scene of him sat behind a sniper rifle assassinating petty criminals to remind you that he's still in this. It's obviously
So he doesn't have to
scenes with
fight.
Seagal were all shot in the same warehouse on the same day, as you can clearly see walls and empty car parks out the windows that don't remotely match what he's supposedly firing at.
Wow, that's an awful effect.
Lol at those blood effects. Many lols were had. In fact, hey Brian, think fast. Bang!
Ow!
Bang!
Ow! Stop that, it tingles!
Oh, stop that, it tingles! Ah, fucking wuss. Okay, Brian, I'll get rid of the wipe. There's a better. There's not even any rhyme or reason to who he picks. These guys are clearly being arrested when he executes them. He hates these drug dealers so much that he shoots two of them in the dick. And the Punisher would have killed the sex worker for stealing the cash. Clearly, Seagal doesn't believe in punishment. He believes they deserve punishment. What the fuck is Porter doing with that hard drive? Computer alchemy?
I think he's trying to read the info off of it, as seen in these shots that have clearly been badly superimposed over an empty recycle bin folder, so he can find Kerry's address.
To me, this gentleman is a person of interest. Why is he so chummy with this single mother / seductive stripper at the Snake Eyes Club?
Where is he pulling this wild theory from? He could be involved in the investigation for all he knows. Did he read the script?
I wish the rest of the film was those two suing the shit out of that reporter for the Nancy Grace-esque stunt. Romano wants Carrie captured, and she rightfully suspects there are people after her as she makes plans to run away, but she still finds time to send her kid to school?
You have a good day.
Yeah, that makes
and when
sense.
You get home, we are gonna go on a little trip. Just you and Mommy.
I admire your dedication to your kid's education, but I think his safety and yours is far more important. Get the hell out of there!
Yep.
No, Mr. Brian Flim, you dozy bint. Everyone knows that gangsters can't set foot in a school. Ergo, he's perfectly fine until he gets home. Okay?
Clearly.
Instead, Romano's men, including Hansi, arrive at Carrie's place first, but luckily for her, Porter arrives not long after and kicks their asses. This is what happens when you mess with a berserker, Hell's Warrior! That is a man who is really pissed off with how his career turned out.
I suddenly feel very afraid that I've been making fun of him for years now.
Well, yeah, but a stiff breeze can knock you over.
For some reason, Kerry's house leads back out into an alley. Apparently she lives in a warehouse. But they're cornered by more of Romano's men who are terrible shots. How do you manage to fire a machine gun at two people in a narrow alley and manage to miss both of them?
Give up being a gangster because you're shit! More gangsters pop out like a side-scrolling video game, and Porter takes them all out with the power of MS Paint. As Carrie scarpers, somehow missing Hansi coming around the same corner. Oh, never mind. Seagal got him.
This is a big moment because not only is it the first meeting of our two main characters, but Seagal hasn't actually spoken a line up until this point. So this is his very first bits of dialogue in the movie.
How far are we into this dung heap?
Only 7 minutes in.
Seagal is the top-billed star. He spends most of the fucking time sitting, and he doesn't have to remember any lines until the halfway mark. Jammy bastard. Wish I could get away with being that lazy.
What's wrong with you, man? You're slipping. But you can't check your six.
Robert?
Just like old Tom. Would you give your life to save the world if nobody knew you did it? See, that's the difference between you and me.
What the fuck is up with his accent? Did he swallow Nick Cage and Con Air?
At least it is actually his voice, which is more than can be said for some of his movies. Also, what the hell kind of question is that? Going around shooting random crooks is hardly saving the world. Seagal arranges to meet Porter at a club before sodding off out of his own film again. Meanwhile, the
No, so
city
they're
is
not in the
truly
same
under
shot.
siege. Just look at the size of this press conference.
Oh, I wish I was watching Under Siege right now. This is R.D. Coles, Mayor Randolph, who pledges to stop the vigilantes, but he's a bit more concerned about his bit on the side.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, those windows aren't frosted, you moron.
Carrie finds Porter's hotel room using the card that he gave her and arrives with the child of the damned. Meanwhile, Seagal is so super duper that he's not just a regular vigilante anymore, he's a super vigilante. Whatever that means.
There hasn't been a violent crime reported in almost a week. And hell, if it wasn't for Colonel Sykes, we wouldn't have much of any crime reported.
Dropping crime, no matter what the reason, it's got to be a good thing, right?
This is bullshit, this is bullshit, this is bullshit.
So because of one guy, nearly all the crime in the city has been eradicated? Not even Batman is that affected. Are you gonna set up a
Well,
Seagal
work with
signal in the
Bronson.
sky?
Plus, he's a vigilante. I'm pretty sure that counts as violent crime. Do your damn jobs!
Porter strolls in to let them know of his midnight rendezvous with Seagal.
Oh, yeah, he's gonna be there. He's the one who set it up. Why? It was the honorable thing to do.
I don't think the guy that goes around as judge, jury, and executioner on criminals can be considered honourable.
Considering he blew up a
Walking
strip
into a
club.
trap, you twat!
So Porter goes to the Romano-owned club with Peterson and a SWAT team listening in some distance away. Seagal is sat at a table waiting for him, of course he is, and starts mumbling his beliefs. Man, this is just like that De Niro Pacino film. What was that called again? Oh yeah, Righteous Kill.
What the hell happened to you anyway, Robert?
I never went soft. That's what happened to me. There are places in this country where people can't go without fear of being mugged, murdered. Why should we accept that here? Slavery was the law, and if it wasn't for men like us, it might still be there.
That guy is a Rorschach mask away from attempting to be an interesting character one day. But, you know, that fits. He's already really weird looking without one.
It gets a bit of charge from Seagal playing a good man gone bad, but mostly his rambling is just disjointed flirtings with fascism that Sheffer fails to truly challenge. I don't think cleaning up the streets is quite equivalent to abolishing slavery. You can't exactly claim the moral high ground with your body count.
He sounds like Marlon Brando in The Godfather if he was bitten by a radioactive crayfish.
It's abundantly clear over the course of their conversation that the two are being set up as mirror images of each other. Both lost their families, but Seagal was honourable, whereas Porter drove his way with vice.
There's also this moment where Porter pulls his gun and no one notices. I know this is a rough joint, but still. Oh, and this.
Since you've been in town, you killed 2 crackheads, a bunch of gangsters,
It's just self-defense.
and you let the media think that I did all the killing.
I sense a really stupid twist coming.
Whatever made you think that? They're being so subtle about setting it up. Seagal stops Porter by telling him that he's not only jammed his mic, but he's also planted a pressure-sensitive bomb under a seat. Fitting that he's forcing someone to sit down. As Seagal exits, that's when Romano's men try to kill Porter, prompting a gunfight where he must remain seated the whole time. This would probably be awesome in a John Wick movie,
Wow.
but slightly less so here.
Without gangsters blindly firing machine guns in their own club, or the awkward choreography that includes a guy's neck is made out of spaghetti, or that Schaefer clearly rolls his arse off the seat. Romano goes to shoot Porter, but does the slow motion walk of danger, which means he only gets to hit Porter in the hand, as he hides behind the bulletproof furniture, before the SWAT team bursts in to arrest him.
You put a bomb under my chair.
There's no bomb here, sir.
Ha! Seagal fooled him with the I put something under your seat trick. Whoa, 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 whoa.
I called it. You see, Seagal has a code of honor, whatever the fuck that means. So this was an almighty balls up when we have a club full of dead people. And then Porter just disappears.
Where's Agent Porter?
I'm not paid enough to talk to you. Literally.
Afterwards, the SWAT leader believes that Porter may have turned off his own mic, and when the police watch the CCTV back, only Porter can be seen on the footage. Boy, that must be one thick pillar. You're telling me that there's no other security camera that would have picked him up?
Besides, it was a crowded club. And Seagal is a man of a certain stature, shall we say? This is really suspicious. And or stupid.
They're transporting Romano ready for trial, and despite being told no press and an obvious target for the super vigilante, they lead him out to the front of the building in the open. No shock then that his head becomes marinara sauce as Seagal snipes him from an absurdly long distance from across the other side of the city.
Impossible.
I was aiming for his nuts.
And it's nice of Seagal to be wearing his costume from Sniper Special Ops so he can go from one direct-to-video set to another.
This super vigilante is nothing short of a domestic terrorist.
Shouldn't have said that.
Porter and Seagal are watching the same news in two different but very similar looking hotel rooms. There's a word for that.
That's a
No,
trademark
I'm
of
pretty sure
Film
it's
Brain.
testicle. Carrie finally goes to the police for protection. Yeah, I hope they do a better job than they did for Romano.
Agent Porter killed him?
All except for the guy with the broken arm. He said Colonel Sykes killed him.
Did you happen to see Colonel Sykes do this?
I had already run away.
What is with people somehow managing to miss Steven Seagal even when they go directly past him?
I think I know, and it's really dumb. At the club shooting, Jerry found an envelope containing an invite to meet Seagal at the burnt-out strip club, which he naturally does because he's a ratings-grabbing creep. Yeah, he is so going to die. And that flare wouldn't have blinded him if he kept his shades on.
I thought you said no weapons. No, I said no guns.
No, not the egotistical reporter. And how exactly is what he did in any way comparable to a mob boss? Why'd he deserve to die?
Is Seagal the hero or the villain? Fucking for this film's nuance is stupid. Some FBI guys show up to take over the super vigilante case where, shock of shocks, Porter's not actually an FBI agent. No shit. He burst into his motel room to find it empty, but he pays him a call.
Mayor is the next target.
You listen to me.
Who uses a payphone in 2016?
I'm not a lot of things. Look, one way or another, this thing ends tonight.
He suddenly started smoking a cigar. Symbolism!
Next, he's gonna start talking in a mad accent, fry himself in a tanning booth, and start talking about the virtues of Russia.
They tracked the call to find Jerry's body, and naturally Seagal took the footage. I'm more distracted that there's clearly daylight pouring out into this night scene. The files for Seagal and Porter have arrived, and hilariously the photo on the former is clearly a Photoshop image from his above the law days. Keep telling yourself you look like that, buddy. And then comes a big twist, I think.
Spoiler for a 1990s Brad Pitt movie.
Beeson picks up a cigar cutting while listening to their profile and comes to believe that Seagal is Porter, that they've been on a wild goose chase and he never appeared in the club, and all the kill scenes are replayed but with Porter in Seagal's place.
Called it! Also, Craig Schaefer in these scenes makes him so much more believable.
Yeah, because he looks like he can walk. They went full Fight Club with this twist. That's pretty ballsy for a Seagal movie. Let's see how they screw it up.
Also, I saw this film recently. I know, terrible, horrible, contrition, etc. I'm coming to this conclusion based on a fucking cigar. It's insane! They frantically search for the mayor, but he's in a hotel. Yeah, sure looks like one. Having an affair with his assistant, and wait, hold up. If he's wearing his trousers, then who the hell are those on the floor? Does he wear two pairs of trousers?
But the super vigilante has tracked him down, somehow opening his room and killing them both. So he offed the mayor because he had the audacity to call the super vigilante for exactly what he was and for having an affair? Someone for that morality mumbo jumbo.
Also, who killed him? Porter or Seagal?
A third candidate! Steven Seagal's stunt double has gone rogue! However, the movie proceeds to untwist itself because Porter sneaks up on Seagal on the roof of the hotel and suddenly things get very clouded.
Somehow, everybody's thinking that you're me and I'm you.
That is unfortunate.
That was a nice touch, man.
What the hell is happening? Are they one and the same, or are they two separate people? They just managed to get confused because Seagal covered his tracks so well. Why does Seagal make it sound like Porter did this deliberately? I shouldn't be this confused watching a Steven Seagal movie.
Is it possible that since Seagal sort of pops in and out of the narrative at random, could it be that he wasn't there the whole time and they sort of ad-libbed the twist around him? Plus, it would explain why it makes no fucking sense. So Seagal and Porter start to do fisticuffs and knife fighting, and judging from these shots against the red smoke, someone saw Skyfall.
Also a good way of hiding body doubles, as Seagal seems to have dropped a lot of weight, and I can clearly see him in Schaefer's reverse shots. Oh, I missed that.
And I see Sheffers.
Naturally, Porter gets almost no offense, but as police and FBI are converging on the hotel, Seagal does the only sensible thing.
Forget the Punisher, he's the defenestrator! The FBI guys in the helicopter are composited so badly they look like Force ghosts as
Wow.
Porter escapes their gunfire.
That's awful.
Seagal
Green
survives
screen.
his comedy fall, but pulls out glass impaled through his hand, the same one Porter was shot in. I see what they did there. He starts planting C4 around the place, which totally looks like a hotel and not a warehouse, before bumping into Porter again so he can get some more knife-flailing action. However, the FBI helicopter swings around and Porter runs as Seagal pulls out his detonator. Yes, that really did just happen. We found the rare Steven Seagal film where he dies at the end. He's more than half past dead. As EMTs carry out his Kentucky Fried Corpse, Peterson and the police hold on to the tenuous theory that Seagal and Porter are the same, but don't really care so long as the super vigilante is dead. But someone survived.
Where did you get that?
Your friend just gave it to me.
Craig Schaefer is a master of stealth! Even in broad daylight, he's impossible to find!
Or is it Seagal? Because in an interview with the director, he claimed that Seagal doesn't believe that he died at the end of the movie and that he was the one who gave the glove.
Of course he would.
Not bloody likely, Seagal!
Although being a ghost would help him get past the police.
Code of Honor is more ambitious than the usual Seagal film in that it isn't a straight copy of what he's been doing for almost 30 straight years and tries to do something different with him, but one gets the feeling that it may have been better without him. There are long stretches where the supposed lead barely turns up, never mind that he doesn't speak for 45 minutes, and Craig Sheffer can't really pick up the slack, and both look way too old and out of shape to be convincing. In trying to create ambiguity, the film instead has no likeable characters, and its supposed criticism of vigilantism is undercut by the fact that it implicitly condones it. The film's not helped by its rushed production, especially in its editing, not only because of the hysterically bad CGI blood, but the pacing is baggy because every scene is full of dead air. The worst thing about it is the twist, though. It just reduces the whole film to a total muddle, and is the end result of the film trying to bite off far more than it can really chew.
This is an enormous pile of crap. It's not often I say this, but this would have been better with just Craig Sheffer. It's confused, ridiculous, makes no sense, and while that's not usually a bad thing, it is here. I do not understand the appeal of Seagal, and I'm not even convinced that Seagal does.
What would you say if I told you that this is one of Seagal's better recent outings?
Well, Brian, I'd stab you in the face over and over and over again, and then tell you to get on with it, because we've another crossover to film.
I'm Matthew Buck, beating down bad movies everywhere.
Beating off bad movies.
No.
So, that was the Code of Honor review by Film Brain and Diamanda Hagen. What did you think?
Film Brain did his usual bit, and then and she was almost like color commentary to everything that he was doing. I like they made a run at it. I think they worked well with each other, and they're almost like diametric opposites in how they go about even speaking to each other. So
Yeah, I really like the crossovers that I've seen them do. They've done a couple. There's a part 2, like they said to this, but it's really long, so I don't think we'll be reacting to it. And the reason I picked this reaction video is because Diamanda, I really like her, but her reviews tend to be very long, ranging from 40 to 50 minutes, sometimes longer.
yeah,
And her videos, her most recent ones, often have her in the shadows, and that doesn't bother me, but you're an old man who gets very sleepy pretty easily.
yeah, it's kind of, yes.
And a reaction video where the second half is dozing off is just no fun.
Not at all, not at all.
So yeah, there was a little shade here, but a lot more brighter than usual.
Yeah, well, she had 2 colors of hair and 2 colors of face. I mean, it kind of...
She really mixed up the look for this one. And Matthew Buck, whenever they collaborate, Film Brain's pretty much her walking, talking, punching bag.
Yeah, but like I said, he pretty much is the person that carries the review of the actual movie, and she insults the movie, and what's she call him, Brian Flynn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good balance. One doing the analyzation pretty much, and the other giving the riff commentary.
Yeah.
On their own, like we've already talked about Diamanda in the past. I like her. I don't watch her as frequently as some other reviewers because she doesn't put out as frequently as most other people do.
Yeah.
But when I do watch her stuff, she's very enjoyable. I love the twisted movies she does and her dark, pretty disturbing style of reviewing things.
I think these are easier for her. Maybe she likes them better because she doesn't have to carry the actual discussion of the.
Yeah.
She just chimes in whenever a good terse comment comes to mind.
And Film Brain, I've seen a good chunk of his reviews. Like I said, he hasn't done Bad Movie Beatdown as regularly for a long time, but they've been enjoyable. Like, there's a few reviews I think are better than others. Like his On Deadly Ground review, his original Seagal review, is a lot of fun. And he wasn't as fat then, but there was still a lot to make fun of.
Oh yeah.
Just for how up his ass he got as star and director.
Yeah, he had extra weight on him in that movie, but it looks like at this point he has at least as much extra weight as he did in that movie, all in his neck. I mean, the guy is massive.
Yeah, and the goatee, that's something he developed in the past few years that he just has never gotten rid of.
And it's really striking that they put the comparison of what he was in his first movie with this,
Yeah.
Here's a guy that's like, he is really big, and
also
I'm not as trim as I like to be, but wow.
And also, the most positive thing I can say about Steven Seagal is it was watching his early movies that gave me the confidence to really grow my hair out. But he doesn't even have that anymore. In fact, it's debatable just how much hair he has these days. Like, but I think it's been verified it's mostly like plugs with dye.
Ah, okay. It's not a rug, it's actually a plugged-in lawn, okay.
Yeah, like according to Tom Arnold, he colored it in for one movie, and then when he fell in the water, it all leaked all over.
Oh yes, there we go. And the only thing fast about Seagal that we see him is when he starts moving with the hands.
Yeah.
So he's fast from his elbows to his fingers.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Whereas before him,
above the law.
He was running all over the place.
In that girly way he does, but he was running.
Yeah, he was. He was going fast, and it was a funny gait, but he was moving.
And yeah, this movie, I haven't seen a ton of the direct-to-video Seagal films, but the ones I have seen, let me know, he really has gone downhill.
I can't understand where they're making money, because he's obviously well past his prime. Well, he's well past that point even. Who who's buying these things? Does he really have a fan base, or is there just people who will buy anything?
He does. You go on YouTube, you look at a clip from one of his movies, there are like hundreds of people. They'll be like, Lord Steven is the true thing.
Wow. And he's buddy Putin. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to see something funny? Go look up the video where Vladimir Putin himself personally signed Seagal's Russian passport. It's funny for one thing when we see Seagal sign and his thumbnail is like an inch long, longer than the rest of his nails. It's weird. I don't get it, but it's just so bizarre when you spot it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. You know, enough. It just.
Yeah, I think we've talked to death about Seagal enough. This movie looks confusing all over the place, and the twist, like they said at the end, it's left ambiguous, a little ambiguous who's actually alive, and he said Film Brain said the director said Seagal doesn't believe he died, and just like they couldn't decide on how to end this piece of shit.
I think it's very funny, and I think that Film Brain and Diamanda, they had a lot of fun doing this.
Yes, they did, totally. Like I said, they've done a few crossovers, and I like them both, but I really like, they've done soul reviews very well. They can do soul reviews very well, but I'm always enjoying them the most when they do crossovers, whether it's with each other, or, as I said in our last reaction video about Diamanda, she's done great crossovers with people that are very opposite to her. And Film Brain, I do think he's a good reviewer most of the time, but sometimes his personality can get a little much, like his reviews for Cobra and John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars. Seems like he took those movies a little too seriously, got a little too pissed off than necessary, and
became personally offended, huh?
Yeah, he can be a little, like, he's a good reviewer, but sometimes he can get a little oversensitive with some things. And also, he has this thing where he has to really enunciate words when he talks, although I think he's gotten a little better over time. But again, the last thing I'll say is, when he collaborates with people and he works off someone else, whether it be Diamanda, Bennett the Sage, and I doubt he'll ever do it again with them, but his crossover with the Nostalgia Critic for the Chuck Norris movie Forest Warrior was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and he didn't try to take over the program or everything. Diamanda had full reign to do whatever was going to happen on her end of it.
Yeah, they're very balanced, and I was to say, it was a fun little crossover. Got to show you another one that I knew you'd stay awake for. Hopefully, once we're all fully vaccinated, I can get my other co-host back. Not that I don't enjoy it, just I miss my friends.
Yeah. His best co-hosts are not available.
Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you again soon.
Soon.